matter for the urgent rehabilitation of Ningi-Bauchi Federal Highway. Mr. President, the synopsis of the motion is given to Sergeant at Arms. I'm sure.
Distinguished colleagues, Senator Abu Nengi met me this morning to request that I bring forward this motion with respect of this very, very important road. It has huge economic importance, and I told him this is quite in order in view of the importance, the economic importance of that road, because it connects various points that are really important to the economic well-being, the economic life of that area, indeed the entire nation. Is it the view of the Senate that we allow him to present this motion? Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. But before you proceed, let me announce the presence of Chief Wole Shebioba, who is from Ikorodu, the zonal constituency of our respected Chairman of Banking and Insurance, Senator Adetokunbo Baba Adini, is popularly known. He's here to observe our proceedings of today. He's in our gallery, is seated in our gallery to observe our proceedings of today. Chief, we welcome you and we wish you happy observation of the Senate proceedings. And whenever you are done, we wish you happy flight back to Lagos and indeed to Ikorodu. You are most welcome. Thank you. So you may proceed.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The Senate notes that the Bauchi-Ningi Federal Highway, a strategic transport corridor linking the Northeast and the Northwest political zones, was constructed in the 1980s and has suffered decades of neglect without any major rehabilitations since time immemorial. The Senate also notes the age, persistent abandonment, increasing traffic volume, and the absence of periodic maintenance have reduced the highway to a state of total disrepair. With extensive pavement failures, deep potholes, and eroded sections that have turned the road into a death trap, posing grave risks to the lives and property of commuters and other road users. The Senate further notes that the deplorable condition of the highway has drastically increased travel time, such that a journey approximately 1 hour between Bauchi and Ningi, covering about 100 kilometers, now takes close to 4 hours, with attendant increases in transportation costs, loss of productive man hours, and disruption of economic activities. The Senate further observes that the persistent deterioration of the road has exposed commuters to frequent road traffic crashes, armed robbery, and other security threats, particularly where vehicles are compelled to slow down or remain stranded for prolonged periods on curved sections of the highway. The Senate worried that the continual neglect of this critical highway has adversely affected interstate commerce, agricultural value chain, and regional integration, thereby undermining the federal government's commitment to economic growth, national connectivity, and transportation, and concern that unless urgent intervention is taken, The continued deterioration of the Bauchi-Ningi Federal Highway will further endanger the lives and property of Nigerians, impede economic activities, continue to increase the cost of transportation, and exacerbate the hardship currently faced by citizens and business that depend on the strategic transport corridor. Accordingly, the Senate resolves first, urge the Federal Road Maintenance Agency FEMA to immediately undertake emergency palliative repairs on the first section of the highway pending its comprehensive rehabilitation. The Senate further resolved, urge the Federal Minister of Works to, as a matter of urgent national importance and in view of its strategic importance as a major link between the Northeast and the Northwest, commence the immediate rehabilitation and construction of the Bauchi-Ningi Federal Highway. Finally, the Senate mandates the committees of Works and PEMA to undertake an on-the-spot assessment of the condition of the road, engage relevant stakeholders, and report back to the Senate within 4 weeks with a recommendation for legislative action. Mr. President, I so move.
Senator Babangida Hussein, you may wish to second the motion and bear your mind on the bill. On the motion.
Thank you very much, the President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues, and Babangida Hussein, Senator representing Jigawa Northwest. I rise to second the motion ably moved and canvassed by Senator Abdul Ningi for the urgent need to rehabilitate Bauchi-Ningi Road. In doing that, sir, may I also crave your indulgence to allow me to say a little about this road, having undertaken some maintenance works on that road in 2024 and 2025. The truth of the matter is that that road is completely gone. Expending so much resources on maintenance, and truly speaking, it is beyond the scope of what FEMA can do. My candid advice is to direct Minister of Works to redesign the road and award it as a fresh contract and reconstruct it entirely. This is my candid advice and suggestion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. This motion speaks for itself, very direct and eloquently. Was a permanent secretary for the Minister of Works. It's an authority. It's an authority. He has said it all. We have gotten, I would say, professional advice in respect of, or analysis in respect of the road. For that reason, I think we should go straight to the prayers. Prayer 1. Section of the highway pending its comprehensive rehabilitation. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Also, all the frames of works, major link between the Northeast, the Northwest, commence the immediate rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Bauchi-Ningi Federal Highway. Those mandate the Senate Committee on Works to undertake an on-the-spot assessment of the condition of the road, engage relevant stakeholders, and report back to the Senate within 4 weeks with recommendation for legislative action. Okay, go ahead, Senator Siaro.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Bina Siaro, Adamawa South. I want to amend this prayer to add FEMA. Thank you.
Seconder, please. Chief Whip.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Manitar Bongino. I represent Bongino Senatorial District. I hereby second the motion ably moved by Senator Bina Siaro.
Those in favor of the amendment of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. First of all, let me commend Senator Abdul Nengi for bringing forward this motion because everybody knows the economic importance of that road. It connects to various areas, northeast, northwest, and so on and so forth. Having that road in a very good shape will not only help the economic development of the area, but also enhance the good representation of its people. The only problem that he has is that he refuses to come to APC, but he's still doing well in where he is. So congratulations for the passing of the motion. Well done. Thank you. Honorable Isa Jibrin.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. I am Isa Jibrin, representing the very good people of Kogi East. Your Excellency, I want to come under orders 41 and 51, and if you so agree, I want to proceed to read.
Well, let's assume it has been read. You can go on.
Thank you very much. By way of synopsis, Your Excellency, about a week ago, there was a major landslide in one of the coal mining sites at Njema in the Kinangpa local government of Kogi State. That landslide at that mining site killed so many workers, about 20 of them. And the implication of that is that to the extent that the lives of these workers are not insured, the families of these workers have been left to their fate.
Distinguished senators, Senator Isa Jibrin has given out a synopsis of his motion, which has to do with the deaths of some miners in this area, about 20 of them. And the lamentation is that they didn't have insurance cover, and there are no safeguards to safeguard their lives in case of that kind of situation, and they just died that way. So, is it the view of the Senate that we look at the content of this motion so that we can understand the problem and try to see how we can avoid this kind of situation in the future? Those in favor that we should listen to him, take his motion, please say aye. Those against saying nay, the ayes have it. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Excellency, once again. The Senate knows that coal mining has remained an important economic activity in Ankpa local government area of Kogi State, particularly within the coal-bearing communities of Njema, Okaba, and Ika, as well as other areas in Omala and Olamaboro local government areas, which form part of the extensive Ankpa coal block located within the Anambra Basin. Further notes that the coal deposits in the area are overlain by lateric materials, loose sandstone, mudstone, clay, shale, and unconsolidated sediments, which are naturally unstable and highly susceptible to subsidence, landslides, and ground failure, particularly under heavy mechanical loading. Citing that on 14th of July 2026, a significant ground failure and landslide occurred in Alufefe in Njema district within the Ankpa coal mining area, trapping artisans and small-scale miners underground, while several trucks reportedly sank into mining pits during loading operations, leading to the death of over 20 workers and injuries to several others, thereby exposing the extremely hazardous conditions under which mining activities are presently conducted. Further saddened that the unsafe mining methods presently adopted by many artisans, operators, particularly the widespread use of the room and pillar mining system without adequate structural reinforcement, using timber, steel, or concrete supports, have substantially increased the risk of mine roof collapse, cave-ins, and fatal accidents. Worried that the continued location of heavy-duty loading points immediately adjacent to unstable mining pits further aggravates geological instability and exposes miners, transport operators, and surrounding communities to unavoidable dangers. Further worried that many of the miners operating within these coal fields work under informal arrangements without written contracts of employment, social security protection, health insurance, life insurance, or occupational hazard insurance, thereby leading victims and their families without any form of financial protection whenever mining accident occurs. Disturbed that victims of mining accidents, including families of deceased miners and those who sustain permanent injuries or disabilities, are frequently left without adequate compensation, rehabilitation, or alternative means of livelihood, despite the enormous economic value derived from the exploitation of the nation's mineral resources. Further disturbed that the continued occurrence of mine collapses, landslides, and related accidents not only threatens human lives but also poses serious environmental, economic, and public safety concerns requiring urgent legislative and executive interventions. Concerned that the lack of mandatory insurance coverage and enforceable compensation mechanism for artisans and small-scale miners places the burden of industrial accidents entirely on vulnerable families who often lose their breadwinners without any social protection. Informed that leading mining jurisdictions have institutionalized compulsory workers' compensation insurance and occupational health protection schemes for mine workers, under which employers are legally required to maintain insurance coverage, providing medical care, rehabilitation, disability benefits, and compensation to the families of miners who lose their lives in the course of mining operations. Convinced that unless immediate corrective measures are implemented, the unstable geological conditions and unsafe mining practices in the Alpha coal block may result in recurring mine collapses, multiple fatalities, extensive environmental degradation, and destruction of valuable mining assets. Further convinced that deliberate policy steps are needed to rationalize compulsory workers' compensation insurance and occupational health protection schemes for mine workers to avoid situations of hopelessness and helplessness in cases of mining accidents. Persuaded that there is a need for the Senate accordingly resolves to urge the Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, especially its artisanal and small-scale mining department, to undertake an audit of the licensed miners in the areas of mining activities in Nigeria to facilitate monitoring and regulation of mining. The federal government to establish a statutory mining workers' compensation scheme funded through mandatory contributions by licensed mining operations to provide compensation for occupational injuries, permanent disabilities, occupational diseases, and death arising from mining activities. Call on the National Insurance Commission in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals Department to develop compulsory occupational accident insurance for all categories of miners, including artisans and small-scale miners operating under recognized mining corporations, cooperatives, or community mining arrangements. Urge the federal government to establish a mine rehabilitation and victim support fund to provide emergency medical treatment, rehabilitation, compensation to injured miners, educational support for the children of deceased miners, and livelihood assistance to the affected families. And mandate the Senate committees on solid minerals, environmental, labor, employment, and productivity are held to jointly interface with the relevant ministries, departments, and agencies on the implementation of these resolutions and report back to the Senate within the next 4 weeks. And finally, urge the Senate to observe the silence minutes in honor of the deceased victims at the Olufefe in Njema district within the Alpha mining area of Kogi State. I so submit. Thank you. The second, please, Chief Whip.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Monguno. I represent Borneo Senatorial District. Mr. President, the issue of mining collapse has become a recurring decimal with all the attendant and concomitant effect of death, injuries, and what have you to miners across the nooks and crannies of the country in mining communities. I think the only financial to this guiding mining exploitation, but compensation where such unfortunate incidents occur. As it is now, I am supportive of the motion, but I will advise my colleague, Senator Isa Ochocho, Jibril, and other senators who have mining communities in their senatorial district to come off with a robust laws and regulations in form of a bill, so that the Senate, being the legislative arm of government, will now pass it into law, rather than moving it as a motion which is purely persuasive and doesn't have coercive powers. As you said, the only financial is to come up with very robust regulations. If not, legislation, yes, sir. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Prayer one, all the federal ministry of solid minerals development, especially its artisanal and small-scale mining department, ASMG, to undertake an audit of the licensed miners in their areas of mining activities in Nigeria to facilitate monitoring and regulation of mining. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The federal government to establish a statutory workers' compensation scheme funded through mandatory contribution by licensed mining operators to provide compensation for occupational injuries, permanent disabilities, occupational diseases, and death arising from mining activities. But this mine is not purely a federal sector affair. Why do you bring in government? It's purely private sector activity. Why do you now bring federal government?
Mr. President, I am Senator Abdullahi, representing Cabinet. Mr. President, I think what the intendment is, I want to make an amendment to that. The federal government will establish a statutory mining workers compensation scheme funded through mandatory contributions by licensed mining operators to provide compensation for occupational injuries, permanent disabilities, occupational diseases, and death arising from mining activities. To add to this effect, the Senate Committee on Mining is hereby directed to come up with a bill setting up this regulatory institution.
Seconder, Senator Abdul Ningi.
My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I rise to second the amendment heavily moved by Senator Abdullahi Yahaya that a bill emanating from this discussion should be directed to the Committee on Solid Minerals to come up with a bill. I so second.
Those in favor of this prayer as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. call on the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, to develop compulsory occupational accident insurance for all categories of miners, including artisanal and small-scale miners operating under recognized mining cooperatives or community mining arrangements. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Distinguished colleagues, urge the federal government to establish a mine rehabilitation and victim support fund to provide emergency medical treatment, rehabilitation, compensation to injured miners, educational support for the children of deceased miners, and livelihood assistance to affected families. Those in support of prayer. Prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 5, mandate the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals Development and the Senate Committee also on Environment, Labor and Employment and Productivity, and also the Senate Committee on Health to jointly interface with the relevant ministries, departments and agencies on the implementation of these resolutions and to report back to the Senate within 6 weeks. Those in favor of prayer 6 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Urge the Senate to observe a minute silence for the deceased victims of the landslide which occurred at Alufe in Njema district within the Ampa coal mining area in Kogi State on 14th day of July 2026. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Lalong, is he here? Please come. Senator Adebobire. What of Senator Adaramodu? Go ahead. Distinguished colleagues, can we observe 1 minute silence for the miners who died in the unfortunate crash? The souls of the deceased miners who died in the Rufalo in Njema district within the Akampa coal mining area of Kogi State on 14th day of July 2026 rest in perfect peace. Yes, Senator Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, my name is Muhammad Sani Musa, representing Niger East Central District. I'm coming under Section 88, subsection 2 of the Constitution and Section 89. Can I go ahead to read?
You want distinguished colleagues, Senator Sani Musa mentioned a critical issue that has to do with national revenue. And those again saying, guys have it. You can proceed.
Thank you, sir. Section 88 of Section 2, the order. The powers conferred on the National Assembly under the provisions of this section are exercisable only for the purpose of enabling it to A. Make laws with respect to any matter within its legislative competence and correct any defects in the existing laws, and 2. B. Expose corruption, inefficiency, or waste in the execution or administration of laws within its legislative competence and in the disbursement or administration of funds appropriated by it. Order 89, powers as to matters of evidence. 1. For the purposes of any investigation under Section 88 of this constitutional and subject to the provisions thereof, the Senate or the House of Representatives or a committee appointed in accordance with Section 62 of this Constitution shall have powers to A. Procure all evidence, written or oral, direct or circumstantial, as it may think necessary or desirable, and examine all persons as witnesses whose evidences may be material or relevant to the subject matter.
require such evidences to be given on oath if possible. Your Excellency, there is a non-compliance by government-owned enterprises and ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, with the oversight activities of the Senate Committee on Finance. As part of our constitutional mandate, under Section 88 and 89 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, the committee conducts periodic investigative hearings to examine the financial operations of GOEs and MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies. These engagements are aimed at assessing internally generated revenue, collections from stamp duties where applicable, operating surpluses, and statutory remittances into the Consolidated Revenue Fund, CRF, as well as ensuring compliance with extant financial laws and regulations. All have declined to adhere altogether. More concerning is that some have expressly taken this position that they are under no obligation to appear before the committee or submit requested information, notwithstanding the clear constitutional and statutory powers vested in the National Assembly to conduct oversight over the finance of the committee's oversight responsibilities and undermines the constitutional authority of the Senate. If left unchecked, it could erode legislative oversight, weaken fiscal accountability, and diminish transparency in the management of public resources. List of agencies that were absent from the investigative hearing includes the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Industrial Trading Fund, Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Nigerian Railway Corporation, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, Transmission Company of Nigeria, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Nigeria Agricultural Insurance Corporation, Nigerian Export and Import Bank, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Retail Limited, Nigerian Standard Organization of Nigeria, Nigerian Agricultural Accountant Service, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission Authority, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, National Hajj Commission, Sokoto River Basin Development Authority, Integrated Water Resources, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, National Examination Council, Federal Medical Center Jabi, National Inland Waters, National Space Research and Development Agency, Plenary Council of Nigeria, Computer Professionals, Registration Council of Nigeria, Federal Media Corporation of Nigeria, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, Nigerian Communication Satellite Limited, Nigerian Export Processing Zone, Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigerian Meteorological Agency, National Insurance Commission, Nigerian Insurance Corporation, and Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, these are agencies that collect revenue for government. And there's an act in the Fiscal Responsibility Act and also the Finance Act of 2022 that have directed that all ministries must comply with these financial regulations of remittances, and most of them don't do. If they do, they will collect revenue and retain almost 85% of the revenue instead of remitting 85% and retaining instead of remitting 80% and retaining 20%. They now remit 20% and retain 80%. We need to call them to order, Your Excellency. This is the point of order I want to pass.
Did you include the refund of the money? Were you contravene the act?
we will request
80% instead of 20%, then they should be able to refund.
We will request that they come for that scrutiny so that the Fiscal Responsibility Commission will now give us their reconciliation, and then we will request them that to refund that money as quick as possible. Some have been holding this money for over 5 years, since 2020, 2021.
Okay, Senator Manguro, you may wish to second the motion. Oh, was it a point of order? Constitutional order? The constitutional order is upheld now.
we can debate it. It's still debatable.
We don't debate point of order now.
It's debatable.
Chairman.
Bring the list.
Distinguished Senator Sanusi, your point of order is upheld, and I will advise that in view of the seriousness of the situation, by tomorrow you should come with a substantive motion to enable our colleagues to contribute, and then also with very serious prayers, because what we are talking about is that they are saying that the Senate committee does not have power to invite them, but the Senate has the power, the National Assembly has the power. We have the powers enshrined in the Constitution to invite them. So you will come with a substantive motion which will ensure one of the prayers should compel them to appear before the National Assembly, represented by your committee. And then if eventually they don't, we know the appropriate action to take. Thank you. Yes, dismiss Senator Adaramodu.
Thank you, Mr. President, and then my colleagues. I come under orders
Point of order.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Muhammad Adamu is my name. I come under order 41. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day. Up to 1, 2, 3. Then, I believe any matter of urgent national importance should wait till tomorrow, because we are violating this.
Senator Adaramodu, please bring it up by tomorrow. I'm ruling on Senator Lero's first. My ruling is that his point of order is upheld, and that anything to do with section with 4151 should be brought tomorrow. Yes, leader.
Mr. President, my point of order is order 41 sub 4 of our rules. And even though, Mr. President, you have ruled on this, it's important that we also make this very clear. The order reads, not more than one such motion may be made at the same sitting. To begin with, it is at your discretion as a presiding officer. Number 2, Senator Adaramodu also discussed with you as the presiding officer and with the leadership about the death of a colleague, a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that was in this Harlem chamber during the 8th Senate. And for me, sir, because you are going to take more than one such motion today, this is the third one, because you are going to take more than such motion today, you also directed, and we agree that we will not put so much on our other paper. That's why we don't have any first reading today. Of course, the single Senator Alero was not privy to this decision. We don't have a single first reading today, just to save time for his constituents were also waiting, because he had also told them he would lay this order today, so that the presiding officer and our colleagues will also say something about a worthy colleague who was in this Harlem chamber with them during the 8th Assembly. So, sir, if you were to come again under order 1B, to most respectfully, reverse yourself on this, to allow Senator Adaramodu to put this motion, we will not have done anything injurious, either to our rules or to any of the known laws of the land. Because this rule says, may, and it's not shall, and it is at your discretion. And sir, you are the chief interpreter of these rules. I so submit, sir.
of the Senate, in view of the fact that I had already ruled on this matter, the way you have eulogized me as the chief interpreter of the rules is such that you may wish to come under Order 1B to insist that we attempt to bend our rules to. So please, your point of order is noted, but advice.
Mr. President, and most distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, let me come under Order 1B of our rules to again, most respectfully, plead that Mr. President do to allow the civil senator Adamodu to move his motion. And I also extend this to our distinguished colleague by asking for your indulgence to allow this to happen. I so move.
The minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Dr. Tuni. I second the motion that we regulate our own procedure by honoring one of our deceased so that Senator Adeomubu can be able to move motion for urgent national importance under 41 and 42 of our rules. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, we have been urged to regulate our procedures and then make a little adjustment to accommodate the demise of our distinguished colleague who serves in the 8th Senate with the current Senate President. And the passionate appeal, motion move seconded. Those who support that he be allowed to use a few minutes to run through this motion in view of the compassionate nature of it. Say aye. Aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Adamodu.
Mr. President, and my very distinguished colleagues, I want to appreciate this kind of legislative bailout. It shows that our laws are very robust and our procedures are very vicious. I don't take this for granted. Thank you, Mr. President, and thanks to the leader of the Senate. My name, I have already thanked my colleagues earlier because I take you first before I go to the leadership.
Proceed to the main item.
Thank you, sir. I am Senator Yemi Adamodu. I represent Ekiti South Senatorial District. I'm from Ekiti State, the only land of honor in Nigeria. I want to take through the indulgence of the Senate, the leadership, and my very distinguished colleagues. This is a very tragic and very unusual motion. And I'm taking it so that we, senators of the 10th Assembly, can relish the memory of our departed 7th Assembly colleague, Senator Adeniyiwa and Tony Adeniyi, who represented the South Senatorial District between 2011 and 2015. Senator Anthony Adeniyi translated from the terrestrial to the extraterrestrial. He translated from the mortality to immortality. June this year. And I want to take the permission that I'm moving it as a motion that I should go ahead to present the tributes. Thank you, sir. Chief Senator Anthony Adeniyi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, was a distinguished Nigerian lawyer. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, as I said, a politician, a one for that matter, a statesman from Ekiti State, from the South Senatorial District. which I represent. He was widely respected for his contributions to the legal profession, democratic governance, and public service. He was born in 1951 on May 9. The senator obtained a Bachelor of Laws degree from the great University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, Nigeria. I was called to the Nigerian bar in 1980. Over decades, he built an outstanding legal career, earning a reputation for excellence, integrity, and advocacy. In recognition for his remarkable contributions to the legal profession, he was elevated to the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 2021. Within the Nigerian Bar Association, he served several leadership capacities, including Publicity Secretary of Akure Branch, Chairman of Akure Branch, a member of National Executive Committee of the NBA, where I contributed significantly to the advancement of the legal profession. His passion for public service led him into active politics, starting from the Alliance for Democracy to the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN. I was elected senator representing Ekiti South Senatorial District in the 2011 general elections and served in the 7th Assembly from 2011 to 2015. During his tenure, he was an active member of the Senate Committee on Constitutional Review and served as Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on Capital Market. Senator Zinazo. He was widely recognized for advocating for consumer reforms, judicial independence, electoral reforms, and policies that promoted economic growth and better governance. Chief Senator Attorney Adeniyi was known for his commitment to effective representation, legislative advancement, and advocacy for the welfare of his constituents. I was an influential political leader and Democrat. He served as the Ekiti chairman of the Southwest Agenda for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that we popularly called Swagger. Playing a strategic role in mobilizing political support that contributed to the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2023 presidential election. Throughout his lifetime, Senator Adeniyi was celebrated for principled leadership, humility, patriotism, and unwavering commitment to justice, democracy, and national development. All these attributes were laced with precipitating humor by Senator Tony Adeniyi. Chief Senator Attorney Adeniyi passed away on the 24th of June 2026 at the age of 75. His death was widely mourned by the legal community, political leaders, colleagues, and the people of Ekiti State, especially the South Senatorial District. I urge the Senate, this very uncommon Senate, and uncommon leadership to accord and our late colleague, our own leader in the South Senatorial District in Ekiti State. Just, I would have asked for 1 hour silence, but just a minute silence, because it's very dear to us. And I will urge the Senate to send condolence messages to the family and all of us in the South Central District.
The motion is noted and well moved, but we don't want you to.
I'm very happy that the SP has already noted my motion before I even finished it. Thank you very much.
Yes, I don't want you to cry. So, this is Senator Bariwe.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Aina Baribe and I represent Abia South. I think the Irish poet, John Donne, in one of his poems said, "Ask not for whom the bell tolls, because it tolls for thee."
Senator Tony Adeni. We used to call him fondly here on this floor, Babalawo, because he was always very fond of threatening you that he will turn you into a bed if you give him so much more. From such a very nice and humorous and dedicated patriot. We're so sad to hear this news this morning. We wish him well in his journey because, like they say, good men, their deeds will always live after them. And I know that for Tony Adeni, all the things that he has done for his constituency, his community, and the legal profession he was doing while still in the Senate and still, we said that once you have become a senator, you don't need sign anymore. And he said no, that is the height of his profession. Such a good man. May his soul rest in peace. Amen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President, and let me thank my colleagues for indulging Senator Adara Modu to bring forward this motion, because we need, as always, to appreciate the service of our colleagues. Even in death, we don't appreciate their services only when they are alive, but when they are dead, we should also appreciate what they've done for this country. That will inspire the younger ones to like to do more for the nation, because they will think that even if outside they are no more, the nation will still remember them. Let me begin by condoling the entire Senate, because he was one of us, one of our colleagues. And also condole the people of his senatorial zone, particularly Chief Mona, Senator Adara Modu, and the leader of the Senate, who happened to come because the leader of the caucus in this Senate. Also condole the people of the state and indeed the entire country, because the man that we are talking about was a patriot. The man that we are talking about was a patriot. Someone that served this nation victoriously. He took time to indulge in politics, and he came to this Senate, where he contributed very well in the business of the Senate. Very active member in the various committees, particularly the Constitutional Review Committee, where he brought his professional background to bear in the work he did as a member. His loss, and that those that led behind, God will continue to bless them. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Cyril Fashi from Ekiti North. I want to draw the attention of the Senate to the paragraph on page 2, where Senator Adara Modu said, beyond elective office, Senator Adara Modu Adeni remained an influential political leader and Democrat. He served as the Ekiti State Chairman of Southwest Agenda Force, Asiwaju Swaga. I can tell you that as at the time Swaga was formed, nobody gave President Bola Ahmed Tinubu any chance to becoming the president of Nigeria. And that was the period when Senator Anthony Adara Modu played significant role. And we thank him for what he has done. Until his death, he was a great leader, not only in the South Senatorial District, but in Ekiti State, as a profound progressive. I just want to point this out and say, on behalf of myself and my family, wish him, my condolences to his family and all members of Ekiti State. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the debate on the motion by distinguished Senator Adera Modu regarding the demise of Senator Tony Adeniyi, who represented Ekiti Central, Ekiti South Senatorial District in this hallowed chamber. I also want to add my voice to the submissions ably made both by Senator Adera Modu and Senator Cyril Fashui from Ekiti State, as well as our elder statesman, one of the most ranking members of this chamber, the distinguished Senator Abaride, who served with distinguished Senator Tony Adeniyi in the 7th Assembly. I was also grateful for the comments by His Excellency distinguished Senator Dara Ojukwe, the Deputy President of the Senate. Senator Adeniyi was indeed a gentleman, and as someone who could be described as a gentleman's gentleman. He was a fit and proper person, to practice our profession, and he made his mark in the legal profession. And it wasn't a surprise to any one of us that even after he had served as senator, he still felt he needed to become a senior advocate of Nigeria during the height, of people who choose to be on the side of advocacy in the legal profession. And I just want to say that as a Senate, we join his family in mourning his loss, and I have no doubt that our tradition of observing a 1-minute silence will also be observed as requested by the mover of the motion. And I also know that at the appropriate time, the Senate as an institution will also critical time. And if to die, and still be remembered and loved by those left behind is not to have died at all, then Senator Adeniyi lives on. I thank you, sir.
Adeniyi, senior advocate of Nigeria. We met in the 8th Senate together, and like Senator Barrier said, a jolly good fellow, a very dedicated lawmaker, and of course, a dedicated legal practitioner. And for Mr. President and the APC, he did his best to ensure that this government came to bear. And so I would say that yes, indeed, we contributed to the current administration's capacity that is shown in every facet of life in Nigeria, and particularly depending only on carrying a point of his administration. And today, Nigeria can pay salaries and go to a federation account without even crude oil contribution. And for me, this is a major shift that will ensure the survival of the country with foreign direct investment coming in droves. So Senator Adeniyi has done his part, and like every mortal, he has returned to his creator. And we are saddened as members of the Hallowed Chamber because he belongs to the elite club of senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I also join to say yes, he did his best, and may his soul rest in perfect peace. So may we rise to observe 1 minute silence in his honor. By the soul of our departed colleague, distinguished Senator Anthony Adeniyi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who passed on the 24th day of June 2026. Rest in perfect peace. And pass the condolence of distinguished senators to the family, to the Bureau family. And the Senate leader is mandated to provide the list of those who will accompany him as the leader of the delegation from the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to meet with the family of our deceased colleague. Once again, may his soul rest in perfect peace. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President, and distinguished colleagues. The first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Legislative Compliance on the status of compliance with Senate legislations and resolutions referred to the committee in July 2023, with respect from July 2023 to December 2025. Mr. President, you may read the report.
Thank you very much, Senate President, my distinguished colleagues. My name is Garba Musa Maidoki, representing Kebbi South Senatorial District of Kebbi State. I wish to move the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee of Legislative Compliance on the status of compliance with Senate legislation and resolution referred to the committee from July 2023 to December 2025. I so move.
Yes. Senator, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion ably raised by Senator Garba Maidoki
that the Senate should receive and consider the report of the Committee of Legislative Compliance. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Make your list motion move and second. Then those in support say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Garba. Just give us the synopsis.
Very much, the Senate President and distinguished colleagues. I am very proud to stand before you today to present the report of legislators, humble colleagues in the committee and the clerks and the secretariat for a beautiful job done. So between July 2023 and December 2025, the committee received 27 referrals on motions and reports. The referrals on motions and reports and the action taken by the committee are stated in the report as laid. The committee's findings are: the committee, if you go through the committee, you will see we've listed all the referrals one by one and the action we have taken, the status of the report, all were laid down in the Senate one by one, item by item. So we will just go to the findings of the committee. The implementation of the Senate resolution is often delayed and sometimes ignored. The executive retains the final authority to issue directives for the implementation of the Senate resolution. Many MDAs ignore the committee's request for compliance information, thereby disregarding the powers of the committee and the Senate in general. Some MDAs fail to implement the resolution, especially in cases of road rehabilitation and disaster management due to non-inclusion of funds in the budget for the project. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is here to address the medical treatment of the child, Eromosele Omoria, who is shot in the eye by the agency's officers due to its inability to access the fund from the confiscated and forfeited properties account to facilitate the child's treatment. And they are also written to the authorities for the consolidated revenue as directed by the Senate that money be withdrawn from consolidated revenue so that they can facilitate the payment of compensation to the deceased family. Unfortunately, the Attorney General and the Office of the Minister of Finance have not been able to make any headway in retrieving this compensation. Agencies concerned in the statement of its engaged staff are not willing to comply with the Senate resolution. Typical example is the lingering issue of Nigerian Railway Corporation. Failure to reinstate its former staff, Engineer Padi Ope, despite the committee's several interventions. The railway had told us that they have written to the head of service and they are waiting for final action from the head of service. And unfortunately, the head of service has refused either to acknowledge or to authorize the reinstatement of some of these staff. Most of these MDs, when they conclude their assignment, they refer the final recommendation to the head of service. Of all these recommendations the MDs have sent to the head of service, none of them has ever been responded by the head of service. So we also have the problem with the Nigerian Army on the recruitment of certain officers, reinstatement of certain officers that were the Senate do resolve that they should be reinstated. The the armed forces generally have refused to reinstate this staff despite our best effort. Some agencies directed to implement Senate resolution lack the requisite statutory mandate to do so. We urge the sponsors of motion to often did not investigate matters fully before seeking legislative action. Multiple prayers on the motion relating to action to be taken by single agency affect the effectiveness of the implementation of the resolution and adoption therefore. Committee's recommendation. The committee recommends that the Senate apply budgetary and other sanctions to MDAs that fail to respond to or implement resolution of the Senate, including but not limited to Federal Ministry of Works, Health, Power, Petroleum Resources, Humanitarian Affairs.
Colleague, you've just summarized. Can we take the recommendations on your behalf?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Come, we are taking away my... Yes.
Mr. President, order 20. It says the President of the Senate shall A. preside at the sitting of the Senate, preside at the joint sitting of the National Assembly, sign the boards of proceedings. D, which is the main matter. I want to call the main matter and they are taking attention, sir. The President of the Senate shall be responsible for the observance of the rules of the standing order in the Senate and in committee of the whole. That's my order, sir. If the President of the Senate wants to meet to expatiate, every time, Mr. President, our colleagues invade your seats while very important matters are raised. You are hearing it, but you are not seeing it. I know you are hearing it. That the observance that the Senate President shall hear and he shall see. And I think we need to adjust while matters of very important things are happening. The Senate President shall be able to hear and see so that you interpret and then give the go-ahead.
I know how close we are. So you notice when I see and I don't hear.
Yes.
So I cannot argue with you. Your point of order is apparent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So, distinguished Senator Maduki, we just want to thank you for this report. We'll all study it and we'll take necessary actions. We will ensure, as you stated in your recommendation too, that the implementation of Senate resolutions impeded by budgetary limitations be automatically appropriated, be redressed in the following year's budget under the authority of the Appropriation Committee Chairman. So that those in support of that prayer say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. So yes, you can't. There's a problem. I had omitted prayer 1. I'm taking the prayer that is relevant to the Senate. But go on, if you want to the prayer will be read, this is supposed to be read. But then there is somebody wants to have input before the prayers. Observation, yes. Even though it's not in our rule, but because we are an elder statesman, you can always observe. No problem. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I just want to observe that this report submitted by distinguished Senator Maduki is unprecedented. I know the committee chairing was established actually in the 8th Senate. There was nothing like that before. And I know from experience
that no chairman of this very, very important committee has ever submitted a comprehensive report like this. I want to use this opportunity, Mr. President, sir, for you, the leadership and the entire Senate, to congratulate and also express our appreciation to Senator Medoki for this unprecedented presence of mind, for his compilation of these resolutions and the action that the committee has taken on them, which has never happened before in this institution. I so submit, Mr. President.
Well guided, and your observation, though not the rule is observed and noted. Let me say that personally, I have always noted Senator Maidoki as somebody who has capacity beyond just being a normal chairman of a committee. He has the zeal, and he also has the intellect. He has the intellect, he has the zeal, and he has the love and the patriotic instinct to do his best in any vocation that is given to him. That's why I was very sad when he said that you and other elders in the state did not give him ticket to come back to the Senate. So as Senator Abdullahi, who happens to be a former leader of this Alo chamber, the 9th Senate, you are the leader of this chamber. We are mandating you and pleading with you to reconsider your stand in Kebbi State and see how you can return this man back to us. Yes, because as somebody who has, like I said, capacity, love, and dedication to deliver on anything that is given to him. So, the Civil Senator Maidoki, my appeal will be to your elders in your state to bring you back to the 11th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria because of your good work. I think one good turn deserves another. And the report, let's take it as let's accept this report and use it as a duty for this report. And this report is well received. Those who support that this report be studied by all the senators hereafter, so that we can sift some of the requests inside here and drop some and take some for next item.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Marine Transport and the Nigeria Coast Guard Establishment Bill 2026 SB 575. The civil senators will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Tuesday, 15th October 2024. Mr. President, may we to invite most
the same Senator.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Wasil Soni Eshinokun, the senator representing Lagos Central. I hereby move that the Senate do receive
the Senator plan.
Yes. President of the Senate, my dear colleagues, I'm Senator Dike Plan. I represent Plateau Central. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Marine Transport on the Nigerian coast.
Those colleagues.
Mr. President. Thank you. Report of the Senate Committee on Marine Transport on the Nigerian Coast Guard Establishment Bill 2026 SB 575. Preamble SB 575. After extensive deliberation, the bill was read for the second time and referred to the Senate Committee on Marine Transport for further legislative action. Filed Senate Order of Reference dated 16 October 2024. We should all remember that the bill was read for the first time in this Alo chamber on 30. In furtherance of the Senate mandate, the committee resolved and adopted the following legislative steps as its legislative action on the referral to wit. 1. Conduct public hearing with a view to aggregating stakeholders' viewpoints in order to further enrich the provisions of the bill. 2. Make wide consultations on the merits of the bill. And 3rd, organize technical sessions with relevant stakeholders on the bill in view of its sensitive nature and strategic importance. The public hearing was held on Thursday, 5th of December 2024. Mr. President, sir, I will go to the findings and observation of the report. Having conducted the public hearing and the subsequent legislative activities on the bill, the following are the committee's observations and findings. 1. Majority of the stakeholders can fast for the passage of the bill in view of the fact that maritime security is essential to the growth of Nigeria's vast maritime industry, which plays significant key roles in shipping, fishing, offshore exploration and tourism, food security, foreign exchange and trade. Therefore, the establishment of the proposed Nigerian Coast Guard will complement the existing security architecture in the maritime environment to foster trust among investors, strengthen partnership, as well as enhance Nigerian role as a reliable maritime hub. 2. For Nigeria to optimally exploit the opportunities that abound in the maritime environment, it must focus on robust maritime security framework capable of securing and protecting national assets. In this regard, establishment of the proposed Coast Guards aligns with government initiative to optimize and revamp the maritime sector through provision of conducive environment for the sector. 3rd, the economic viability of the maritime sector will be given a boost with the passage of this bill, as all-inclusive maritime security can contribute to unprecedented growth and development of the sector. 4. Is provided for in the Constitution, but however, to address this issue, the committee has amended provision in a way that Coast Guard will be established as a specialized and dedicated security component to tackle maritime security within its jurisdiction, as stipulated in this proposed bill, without necessarily interfering with the constitutional tripartite role of the Navy and other related security agencies. From comparative analysis of the jurisdiction with Coast Guard across the globe, Nigeria, in view of its vast coastline of 853 kilometers, including 10,000 of inland waterways, decides to have a specialized security outfit with defined roles to collaborate and liaise with existing security network in the overall interest of the country. 6th, the proposed Nigerian Coast Guard represents transformative initiative that seeks to promote the
import and export sector by addressing maritime security challenges in order to streamline port operations in compliance with international standards and to create conducive environment to trade. 7. To allay the fears of rule conflict and duplication of functions with other security agencies, the responsibility of the Coast Guard are streamlined to involve security and protection of the maritime zone on the baseline of 012 nautical miles of the open maritime commercial activities involving shipping, loading, offloading, maritime transport, and other related transactions in the sector. 8. The establishment of the proposed Coast Guard will place Nigeria in compliance position with international legal provisions meant to safeguard Nigerian maritime interactions and commercial activities with other nations of the world. 9. The bill will enhance Nigeria's standing within the IMO as the Organization General enforcement of the suppression of piracy and other maritime offences (SPOMO) Act in aid of Nigeria's maritime waterways by ensuring strict compliance with the Act and subsequent regulation. 13. It will improve the safety and security of our waterways. 14. It will enable provision of timely assistance to boats, ships, and individuals in distress. 15. It aligns with constitutional provision, making it consistent with Nigeria's legal framework. 16. The establishment of Coast Guard in Nigeria will provide opportunity for skills development and capacity building among maritime security that will promote professionalism in the system, thereby guaranteeing sustainable exploitation of the maritime resources for the social economic growth of the country. Order 55.
Let us hear the point of order.
Order 55, Mr. President, number 3, says every senator, when he or she comes into the chamber, shall take his or her seat and shall not at any time stand in any way of the passage or gangway or gateway. Then order 9, when a senator is speaking, no senator may converse aloud or make any noise or disturbance to interrupt him. Mr. President, the speaker is standing speaking and is being interrupted. So we need your guidance on this particular matter. We didn't come here to just waste our time. Order 55 and 9, Mr. Order 55, 9.
Point of order is noted. Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to thank Senator Ningi, a senior member, most ranking member of the committee. 16. The establishment of Coast Guard in Nigeria will provide opportunities for skills development and capacity building among maritime security that will promote professionalism in the system, thereby guaranteeing sustainable exploitation of the maritime resources for the socio-economic growth of the country. 17. In order to maintain professionalism, the operation of the sector, the Maritime Academy of Nigeria, MAN, and the Maritime University as duly established by the Act regulating its operation will provide professional training and related services to the Nigerian Coast Guard in the same manner as the Nigerian Defence Academy provides professional education and services to the Nigerian Armed Forces. 18. The passage of the bill will align with the renewed hope agenda of the current administration aimed at economic diversification and eradicating insecurity on the territorial waterways of Nigeria. In addition, we've looked at the bill. The Senate has the legislative competence to so establish this Coast Guard and it is also very, very desirable. Recommendation: the Senate Committee on Marine Transport, to which this bill was referred, having painstakingly considered the bill, hereby recommends that the Senate do consider and pass the Nigerian Coast Guard Establishment Bill 2026 SB 575 as amended. Effectively, use this medium to thank Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Senator Shulago, please approach the chair.
Order 50. That is how it should see.
We make use of you. So you are let us talk.
So looking at the proposed bill, they need minutes of marines, they need to be well armed, they need to approach the international waters. Right now they are only running around shallow waters, job, and also the fact that the creation of another militia within the ports will cause confusion, and their functions will not be well delineated, and we are not even able to fund any of the other agencies well. So I think we should withdraw this for further consultations before we bring it to the Senate. So please, I don't need to put the question, but I think I should give you the opportunity to withdraw this for further consultations. So not that we are not killing the bill, we are only withdrawing it for further consultation. So if you want me to put the question, okay.
Mr. President, I remain Senator Wasim Sani Eshinokun has agreed we will step down further consideration so that we can get further consultation on this bill. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, is it the wish of the Senate that he be allowed to withdraw this for further consultation? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So it's where I step down for further consultations. Now the Senate leader, Your Excellency, Senator Olamileko, we have a delegation that will go for the burial of our late colleague, or at least for condolence visit to the family, to the deceased family, and it will be headed by distinguished Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, Commander of the Order of the Niger, and life bencher. Then we have Senator Yemi Adaramodu, we have Senator Cyril Fasu, we have distinguished Senator Adebomire Adeniji, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. So the other three will be there as a man to represent the Southwest, and then distinguished Senator Karemi Sunday will represent the North Central, distinguished Senator Abarebe, not only a colleague, but also somebody who knew the disease very well, will represent the Southeast, and distinguished Senator Abdul Ningi, who of course, who has been almost a landlord in the National Assembly also, who represent the Northeast, the distinguished Senator Hussein Babangida, one of the new breed in the Senate, will represent the Northwest, and distinguished Senator Joel Onawapo will represent the South-South. And of course, they will report back to the Senate after their visit. Let me very quickly bring to the notice of the distinguished senators that today we had very serious guests, a delegation of Nigerian lady golfers who have been in the plenary from inception today. They are here to observe Senate proceedings, and the delegation, as part of their activities towards hosting the African Lady Golfers Tournament, which is scheduled for Abuja in October 2026, is here in the Senate, and they intend also. Senator Sani Musa, I said turn and look. I didn't say talk. Okay, you can see them. You can see them. We can see them on the screen. So we are happy to have you join us from morning up to now, as of the Senate and the Senate collectively. Thank you for being here. You will be seated. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Foreign Aid Regulation Transparency and Disclosure Bill 2026 SB 1034. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 6th May 2026. Mr. President, may we to invite His Excellency, Most Distinguished Senator Dan Kwabo Ibrahim Hassan, to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Dan Kwabo.
Thank you for an act to provide for regulation in the Federal Republic of Nigeria and related matters 2026, SB 1034. Sponsored by Dankwambo Ibrahim Hassan, representing Gombenos. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to lead the debate on this very important bill, which seeks to bring order, transparency and accountability and strategic coordination to the management of foreign aid in Nigeria. This bill was read the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, the 6th of May 2026. Distinguished colleagues, Nigeria remains a major recipient of foreign aid in the forms of grants, technical assistance, humanitarian support, and concessional financings from bilateral and multilateral partners. While these inflows have contributed significantly to viable sectors such as health, education, agriculture, and humanitarian responses, it is a matter of public record that our foreign aid ecosystem is fragmented, weakly coordinated, and insufficiently transparent. Today, donor-funded projects are scattered across ministries, departments, and agencies, or sometimes executed outside the national budget framework, or occasionally duplicated or misaligned with national priorities.
This weak coordination undermines efficiency, reduces value for money. This bill finds Section 80 and 83 of the Constitution vest the control of public funds in the National Assembly, and Section 85 empowers the Auditor General to audit all public accounts. Accordingly, foreign aid, once received and applied within Nigeria, constitute public resources and must therefore be subjected to constitutional oversight, transparency, and accountability. Furthermore, the Fiscal Responsibility Act 207 requires prudent management of public resources and integration of all revenues and expenditure into a coherent fiscal framework. The bill, therefore, closes a gap by ensuring that foreign aid is not treated as off-budget or outside national accountability structures. Distinguished colleagues, the problem is not the absence of institution, but the absence of a binding legal framework that coordinates them. At the moment, the Federal Ministry of Finance engages donors. The Budget Office integrates some of the projects, and the Debt Management Office manages concessional loans, while the Accountant General tracks disbursement. However, there is no single statutory framework compelling harmonization, disclosure, and accountability across all actors, including NGOs and subnational governments. As such, this bill provides that missing legal backbone. Mr. President, this bill is deliberately structured to strengthen and not to duplicate existing institutions for proper institutional coordination without bureaucratic expansion by creating one, national donor coordination framework anchored on existing structures to ensure efficiency, cost effectiveness, and policy continuity. 2, mandatory registration and national database for all foreign aids. 3, budget integration and national alignment to ensure that all foreign aids funded projects align with national development priorities. 4, transparent and public disclosure to ensure that funding arrangements, disbursement schedules, project outcomes, and audit reports are published for the purpose of transparency, and a strong accountable sanctions for non-registration, diversion, or misuse of funds, false disclosures, and implementation of unapproved projects. Distinguished colleagues, the passage of this bill will enhance fiscal discipline by integrating all aid into the national planning, as well as improved development outcomes by eliminating duplication and fragmentation. This will invariably strengthen donor confidence through transparency and accountability. It will also strengthen the National Assembly oversight function in this vital sector and restore confidence, public trust on how development resources are managed. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill aligns Nigeria with international standards on aid effectiveness. This bill is not merely administrative, but transformational, as it ensures that every donor every naira and every intervention received in the name of development is strategically deployed, and this distinguished Senate to support the second reading of this bill for further legislative action. Thank you, Mr. President. I so moved.
Senator Manguru? Yes. That's beautiful.
Mr. President, Deputy Senate President has equally raised his hand.
You are not the presiding officer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You are not the presiding officer.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Mr. President, the Senate let me contribute.
You don't want to make contribution?
I will contribute. He has already.
So don't.
I will contribute, sir.
Don't recognize anybody on my behalf.
I will contribute, sir.
I recognize him to make contribution, but he decided to pity you.
It's a tradition. I raised my hand.
No, he did. Senator Sani Musa has raised his hand. But Senator Lero is senior to Senator Sani Musa. So just make your contribution then after DSP will.
Okay, sir. Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohammed Monguno. I represent Borno Senatorial District. Mr. President, this bill is very, very important, apt and germane, especially against the background of the fact that as it is now, the disbursement and usage of donor funds is at the whims and caprices of donor agencies. What this bill essentially seeks to do is to align all these donor funds in accordance with our national priorities, rather than allowing it to be used at their whims and caprices. Then it also gives an enabling environment for the National Assembly to also oversight how these funds are being utilized, whether it is impacting on the lives of our constituents and whether it is in tandem with our national priorities. So, Mr. President, against this backdrop, I support the second reading of this bill. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the Senate President, for recognizing me, and I thank the Chief Whip for advising that you go by tradition. Thank you very much. Mr. President, I felt compelled to contribute to this bear my mind in respect of this bill, because this has been a very good conversation that has been lingering or has been continuous for several years in terms of the management of donors. I mean, funds that have been, sent or donated to our country or to state governments or local governments, and so on and so forth. As we speak, there have been issues in respect to the management, the transparency, the accountability that is necessary in spending this money. They have not been, at the federal level, that has been taken care of, because every fund that comes into the coffers of government is normally captured in our budgetary system. Really vouch for that. But for funds, when you go into our budget, you see inputs in respect of donations and grants made to our country by foreign bodies or foreign governments. It's been done properly. But for state governments, that we cannot vouch for what is happening there. And the major area we have problem is money that comes into the coffers of NGOs or materials that go into the coffers of the NGOs. There is no, arrangement, no regulation at all. So this money comes in there, and you even find fraudsters collecting money overseas and spending such monies for their own benefits. They will set up a bogus or pseudo NGO collecting money overseas. You find some living very, spending money that you cannot account for. So that's why this bill is very, very apt. It has been a recurring conversation, for several years. It has been the Academy Federation. I know, he knows the problem. I also know the problem. It has been a long-standing conversation on how to deal with this matter, but we have not been able to produce a framework to deal with this. You may remember, SP, the president of the Senate, that even in Lagos, in Kano, you find some bogus NGOs riding beautiful cars, building good houses because of the money they collect overseas. No regulation. So this bill is out, and there have been several conversations about this even in the United Senate, in the Air Senate, several discussions. So let's now find a lasting solution to this problem. Let's pursue this bill until we get it passed, so that a framework can be put together. There should be a legal framework. There should be an enactment to deal with this matter. I just want Mr. President.
Well, I think I agree with you, and in some instances, even the mode of demand that they are refugees. So imagine somebody from my state or neighboring state of Rivers going abroad to go and say there is insecurity, that they want refugee status, and they will come across these things. Some people are scammers, so you can't help it. But what he's talking about is how to track and regulate these things, so that people will not take, will not shame the country by their various actions. This is what we wanted to contribute.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. Muhammad Admalero, my name, and I represent Kebbi Central. Mr. President, this is a very important bill because it will coordinate and harmonize all donations from donor agencies. And if it is properly coordinated, there will be proper utilization of it. Right now, in the Committee on Agriculture, we have a situation where funds have been received, and yet they are not recorded in the budget. And we are working to ensure that such money is put into use. Not only that, Mr. President, donor agencies will have confidence if they are sure that the money is going to be prudently utilized. If they know that this money will be diverted, they will not donate, or they will be. We should not limit it to only the federal government. Even the NGOs and the sub-national state governments that receive donations should also be coordinated and be harmonized to ensure transparency and accountability. Once this is done, donor agencies will be motivated to bring more, and there will be visible impact of these funds in either health sector, where it is normally deployed, educational sector, where it is also deployed, or in humanitarian sector. For example, in the northeast and northwest, several donor agencies are now donating money. But if they are properly coordinated, we will be in a position to have oversight functions on them and ensure that the money is used for the purpose it is given. I support all my colleagues to support this very important bill, and I thank Senator Okampo for sponsoring this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, my name is Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East. I fully support this bill because if this bill is passed, it will align with the international best practices, where it will bring Nigeria's framework to best global practices, where funding to whatever they donated will be fully utilized for those purposes. It will also complement the Nigerian reform tax laws, especially in area of transparency, because a lot of commerce being detected now after we have passed the law. Most of the aids coming to so-called NGOs that are subjected to scrutiny, seeing that they are bringing them to Nigeria in order to avoid paying taxes. And then it will improve planning and resource allocation as well. It will protect national security, especially like what my senior colleague have just said, what is happening in Bolo today. If you look at during the crisis, the Boko Haram crisis, a lot of NGOs were coming to Nigeria with a lot of funding. And part of that funding is also creating a lot of security risks for the country. Because at the end of the day, you can never tell who is accounting for what and who is also taking this money. Is it the insurgents taking the money, or is it the money being utilized, especially by the NGOs? This bill, when fully passed, it will also help in the coordination of our foreign inflows. Inflows in the sense, there are direct inflows that come as investment, there are direct inflows that come as grants, and there are those that are coming as loans. So by the time there is coordination and the data is there, we'll be able to assess what funds is coming and for what purpose. So I fully support this bill, and I think my colleagues should also support this bill.
The same Senator Oshomole.
Very much, my dear President. My name is Adams Aliyu Oshomole. I represent the great people of Edo North. Let me join those who are spoken to appreciate the initiative of Senator Dankwambo in crafting this draft bill. We have seen where revelations have been made that foreign countries have had under the cover of aid to sell resources, equipment, to certain persons to carry out activities against their own nation state. We have our own fair share of patriotic citizens, but the truth be told, there is no nation that doesn't have its own share of citizens who might want to take advantage of the soft line. Listening to this bill and all that have been spoken to, said about it, I think there are two broad issues here. One is those donations accruing to government from all sorts of sources. And any money accruing to Nigeria, in my view, within the broad definition of the responsibility of the Senate, ought to be reported, recorded, and how it is used ought to be something that the Senate can oversight. That for me is straightforward. The one that we need to explain so that people who might choose to misunderstand this act is to the extent that we seek for full disclosure of resources that are transferred to NGOs or civil societies. And let me say that I was once the president of Nigeria's most potent membership-driven civil society called Nigeria Labour Congress. Truth is, money coming from outside, though donating, may donate with good intention. Many donate to undermine our unity. They donate to escalate divisions. They donate to polarize those fault lines of our nation. And sometimes, sir, when I see small issues, small conference, small advert, and it is put here, this is supported by so country, this is supported by so union. I'm like, how much is this sum that Nigerians cannot possibility for the peace, unity, and stability of our nation? And it is clear. I read something recently where a government says they funded citizens, if we cannot even say like Senator Sani said, where some people started by acquiring property for 15 years. At the beginning of Boko Haram, when we thought it was just a flash of the pan, they apparently knew what we did not know. And the money they brought as we speak, nobody can say this is exactly the use to which those resources were put. Therefore, in the national interest, I emphasize the national interest, but whatever name called, any money coming to any person from a foreign donor, a foreign country, a foreign organization should be documented and the use should be transparently explained. Because the civil society can hold government to account. Government too must hold civil society to account. Everybody must be accountable. Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to join Kobedi Senator Dakwabo, a former Akata General of the Federation who left the office with flying colors. Yes. Unfortunately, he chooses to be in opposition. But that notwithstanding, this is great. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Shumure. I actually also made that observation some time back that most of the foreign monies coming into the country are not for progress of the country. Some of them are meant to destabilize the country, particularly from undisclosed sources and undisclosed organizations, and they are not properly accounted for. I've also witnessed a lot of adverts sponsored by this group, sponsored by that group, sponsored by this, running into millions. So, and these are not adverts that cannot be sponsored by some of the agencies in Nigeria. But I think with this bill, if we proceed further, we'll be able to dig deep and understand exactly. Back when I noticed that most of the organizations that came to Nigeria were renting properties in Borno State, in Merigui, and they will come and rent properties for 12 years minimum, 15 years and all that. And I said, if Boko Haram just started and it's not even up to 2 years, does it mean that these people foresee a situation whereby the Boko Haram will fester for up to 15 years? So your guess is as good as mine. Today, Boko Haram is still around, coming in different forms, ISIS, ISWAP, disease, and all that. So I think they knew that this thing was going to last for years, because if there's no oxygen, Boko Haram would not be breathing. So you are right. We have to track these monies. We have to know where these monies are going from and for what purpose, and then so that we don't end up receiving donations that would tend to destabilize Nigeria and lead to a lot of divisions. Senator Mustafa.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Sandy Mustafa, representing Kwara Central. Your Excellency, I want to lend my voice to commend the mover of this bill, that this bill cannot have come at a better time than now, especially with what the country is going through. As somebody who was also actively participated in coordinating the activities of NGOs, I want to tell you that this bill will help to scrutinize and also monitor some of the activities. Let me even report to you here, sir, that not just the NGOs or the civil society organizations, even within the government circle, a lot of money comes in, nobody's accounting for it. Take for instance, I will leave the name,
I will tell the name. A state governor's wife goes to SNAP projects being executed by the state government, and normally towards August, September, that is when so many NGOs send their requests to the agency in good faith, gives this funding, and then tomorrow they want to come and take credit that they funded X project, and when they come, to their surprise, they will discover that it is a project that is being claimed by either the local government or a different government agency that they funded. So we've seen this kind of conflicts. So I think with the passage of this bill, where a legal framework will be put in place, it will give a permanent solution to especially the areas of fraud, where people use donation and aid as a means of enriching themselves. So I want to support and commend Senator Dan Kwambo that this bill is apt and it's a top-notch bill that needs to be supported.
Distinguished colleagues, is there anybody who is opposed? Senator Danduze, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. My respected colleagues, I remain Endusa Montaru Mohammed, representing Katsina South. This bill is timely and is very important for proper coordination and transparent looking into the situation we are. Most of these machineries and Boko Haram, some of them were paid in dollars, and we don't know even where the source is coming. And most of these NGOs, most of these civil society organizations, some of them, they go deeply into the forest where these criminal and miscreants are. And in the name of human security agencies, so that it is means for the development of the displaced people, so that it can be given clearance. Mr. President and my respected colleagues, we have to ensure that all sorts of their funding must be curtailed so that it will reduce much of this criminal element in Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there anybody who is opposed to this bill going for second reading? Anybody going for anybody opposed to it? And so the contribution can come at the level of the public hearing. Okay, so those who support that this bill should go for second reading say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate, proceed to read.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the coordination, transparency, accountability, registration, disclosure, and effective management of foreign assistance, grants, donations, humanitarian support, and concessional financing in the Federal Republic of Nigeria and for related matters 2026, SB 1034. Second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the coordination, transparency, accountability, registration, disclosure, and effective management of foreign assistance, grants, donations, humanitarian support, and concessional financing in the Federal Republic of Nigeria and for related matters, or the committees on national planning and economic affairs, finance, and foreign affairs to report back within 6 weeks. Let me thank the distinguished Senator Dan Kwambo, himself a former Accountant General of the Federation, who superintended over all these foreign grants and who understood where some of the foreign grants went to, and also knew and is very well versed with some of the where the bank accounts of these NGOs are, and so I think nobody was best suited to bring this kind of bill to the National Assembly. So I thank you. I also thank my distinguished colleagues for their contributions, and I pray that after the public hearing, you will come back to see the light of the day, to receive the assent and concurrence of the entirety of both the House of Representatives and the Senate, and the assent of Mr. President, so that we give life to it and then begin the regulation. I thank you, and I thank my colleagues for their contribution.
Mr. President, I will stand down the remaining items on the order paper in view of the other issues that we have to deal with this afternoon. And if that is taken, Mr. President, my motion then will be that we actually adjourn the Senate till tomorrow, Thursday, the 23rd day of July 2026. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion moved by the Senate leader that the Senate do stand down other items on the other paper and adjourn till tomorrow, Thursday, in view of the mood of the Senate. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, just before I put the question, the Annual Committee on National Security Summit will be meeting immediately after this. We'll meet, immediately after this at the Senate Leaders Conference Room 415. So all members of that security and all interested senators are invited to partake in the meeting immediately after this plenary. Accordingly, those in support that the Senate do step down other items on the other paper and proceed on recess tomorrow, the 23rd day of July 2026 at 11 a.m. Say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is accordingly adjourned to tomorrow at 11 a.m.